Let's talk about falling. All right, we mentioned before that falling is expensive. Every 20 seconds a person dies due to a fall. All right? Now, you put a gyroscope on board a hearing aid and an accelerometer, and now when you take a fall, the hearing aid knows that because it's using artificial intelligence. It now transmits that to the cell phone, and now your cell phone, what's going to happen? It's going to contact somebody. So here we go.
Hey, buddy, let's go. Whoa.
Dad, are you okay?
I think I just slipped on a dog toy.
Oh my gosh, you gotta watch out for those.
Yeah, I just need some help, look, that's all.
That's a no. So there are the stats on that. Now, that particular feature is being tested right now by the VA. We don't have it available yet on the Thrive app, but that's coming soon. So that will be out as, yes?
Does it only work for falls, or is it an emergency alert system in general?
Falls.
Okay.
Yeah. Just falls at this point. There will be so many things that these hearing aids are going to be able to do. This is just the beginning. I'm telling you that right now. These things, it's going to be so remarkable when you think about what they're going to be able to do with this. I'm thinking down the road, you're going to be able to have diabetics test their blood glucose using the hearing aid. Heart rate, blood oxygen levels, all it takes are sensors inside the canal. We've already got something in the canal. So I mean, these things, I'm telling you, are going to be incredible. And this to me is, I've been doing this 41 years, dispensing hearing aids. I'm blown away by this stuff. I mean, I was blown away by what Glenn has, and now they come up with this. It's just incredible stuff. Yes?
Is these things that aren't working right now are adapted and can be used, do you need a new hearing aid, or
No.
can you just add it?
They're going to be making what you call a firmware change on the hearing aids, and then the Thrive app as well. If they upgrade that, it comes right off the App Store. You're notified on your phone. You just tell it to update. Just like any other app on your phone.
So I'll be able to get some of this stuff on my current hearing?
No.
Hi.
You have to
made
have
it.
Livio.
Oh, so good to see you.
You too. Sorry it took so long.
Here's language
My ride
translation.
was late.
Buenas tardes. ¿Le gustaría la tomar?
I don't speak much Spanish. Actually, just one sec. I can do this. I can.
¿Le gustaría la tomar?
Would you like something to drink?
Yes. Wine, please.
Vino.
I know. That's amazing.
It is. It really is. In translation, it plays right into my hearing aid. Cheers.
One of our employees speaks Spanish. So of course I'm right over there having her speak Spanish into my phone and listening to this, and I'm just thinking, wow.
Oh, is that it?
27 different languages. We had our granddaughter.
Mandarin, and we had her do that in a restaurant the other
Yeah.
night to us. And we handed her the phone. That's pretty cool.
Really cool technology. So we already went over this stuff. Livio reduces interfering sounds from the sides. Livio preserves interaural level differences for localization. One of the things, now localization, what is that? That is your brain's ability to determine what direction the sound is coming from. Now your pinna, which is this part of your ear, is made to take the sound wave and direct it into your ear canal. If you wear this, guess what? You don't have the advantage of the pinna, right? because you've got mics sitting on, the microphones are up here on top of your ear. So this technology that's on board these hearing aids is able to tell your brain what direction that sound is coming from by doing some incredible things with those sound waves as they enter the mic ports. So in other words, you can still determine what direction the sound is coming from with a hearing aid like this. So really cool stuff that they've done with
Do
this.
they set off the alarm when you go through an airport?
I have never had that do that, no.
So with them on, you can,
I've had the hearing aids that Glenn, or the hearing aid that Glenn has, I've had for 2 years, and Starkey sent me this to test them out. So I've been wearing hearing aids for over 2 years now, since April of 2 years ago. And I've never had a situation like that. I don't take them off when I go through, because I have hip replacement, so I have to go through that x-ray
right.
machine. Never have had an issue with it. Now, we talked about accessories. So here, you've got the TV streamer, you've got the remote, and you have the remote microphone. 3 different things that you can hook up to different equipment, like the TV you plug in. There's a fiber optic cable that you plug into the back of your TV. Plug that into this thing, and it broadcasts the TV right into the hearing aids. And if your spouse wants to take a nap, you can mute the TV and still be hearing. All right. Remote mic, it works great in meeting rooms like this. It's an intelligent microphone, believe it or not. It has built-in intelligence. And then you have the remote control, which you can use to change volume, change programming, whatever you want to do with it. Now, Starkey is a company, again, American owned company. The owner's name is Bill Austin, and he started with this tiny little company back in 1967. And he was repairing hearing aids. He actually taught himself circuitry and was repairing hearing aids. Then he bought an ear mold company, and all they made were molds for hearing aids, called Starkey. So that's where the name came from. That company today has sales of over $1 billion a year, which is really small for an electronics company. If you compare that to Samsung or some of the big boys, you know, piddly compared to them. But they spend almost $100 million a year in research and development. So that's part of the reason why hearing aids are expensive, because you don't sell, they don't, you know, you saw the stats. You don't have many people that buy hearing aids. Even though they have a hearing loss, they don't buy them, or they don't get them because they don't want to look old. I hope you don't think I look old. But yeah, it's not the hearing aid, exactly. It's the white hair. But I'll hear that stuff in my office. In fact, I just had a guy in there last week. He said, I want something that fits way down next to the eardrum. And I said, okay, I can do that for you, but I'm going to tell you flat out, you're going to have more trouble with that. And I said, then, if you need a repair, you got to send that up to the lab. I said, if you have a problem, bam, I can put a new receiver on there. Right in the office. Get it out the door, instead of having to wait a week to get that hearing aid back. Patient's happy, hearing aids fixed. That's the advantage of this type of hearing aid, by the way. I love it, because it's so easily fixed. Starkey has a hearing foundation. And by the way, Starkey fits most of the celebrities in the country. If you go to their headquarters in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, you're seeing pictures of every person that you can possibly think of in news, in Hollywood figures, presidents. They fit Reagan with a pair of Intras back in 1983. So this company, although you may not have heard of it, it's the largest in the country, largest hearing aid company in the United States. Owned by one guy, Bill Austin, not a stock publicly held company, which is another good thing that I like about it. But they have this foundation And it's been going for about 30 years. They donate, or have donated, right now, 1.9 million hearing aids to people who can't afford hearing aids, would never be able to afford it. They've donated 1.9 million, and when they donate these things, they send in a mission team that takes care of all these people and then provides them with batteries. They actually set up little centers for these people to come back and get batteries and get repairs done. So they've done mission trips in over 100 countries, excuse me. And here's a little video, just one of the countries that this is Dominican Republic.
Staring into the emptiness, the essence of life.
That's Bill Austin
drifting
right
away
there.
from them, cause they are too weak to hold on. Desperate mothers looking helpless. She went everywhere, but the doors are closing her. Every day she is searching, praying for answers. Is there any hope in this world? But there is hope, hope for the children. There is hope, hope for generations. There is hope, hope for humanity.
or politicians, whoever wants to go with them. And last summer, Aaron Rodgers went.
He's not a celebrity.
Oh, he's just one of us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a rich guy.
Yeah.
So I hope you've learned a few things tonight that you probably didn't think about prior to this, and that's what it's meant to do. It's kind of something that we take hearing for granted, and when we lose it, a lot of times people don't think of that as a health problem, but it really is. And I just hope that you've picked that up tonight with all of these stats that I've presented to you.
If you misplace it in your house, will it set off a beep or something? You can find it?
Good question. Good question. Let me show you this. So I'm clicking on Find My Hearing Aids. And that's what shows up.
So now I need my glasses.
Now, Don,
Hearing aid is close, but
there you
signal
go.
is strong.
Yep. So it's kind of like a Geiger counter. You get these blue lines the closer you get, plus it gives you the street address that your hearing aids are located.
Then you can't misplace your phone.
Yeah, well, then
that's
you
the
have to
next
use
thing.
Find My iPhone on your iPad, see? All right. A little bit about Tobin's Hearing Center. I've been practicing hearing aid dispensing since 1977, 41 years. We've been at our current location on Highway P for 12 years already, believe it or not. I offer comprehensive hearing evaluations. I told you before, I don't look at my watch. I'm the boss. So no one can tell me, Doug, you can't spend, that much time with that patient. I've had people who I've spent 5 and 6 hours with. And I mean, seriously, I'm not giving you a line here. I've spent that length of time taking people to a cell phone store, getting them a cell phone, coming back to Tobin's, programming the hearing aids, getting them set up with email, getting them set up with an account with the App Store. I'm not kidding you, I love what I do. And that's all I can say. I mean, I do what I have to do to make these things work. So extensive counseling, education, hearing aid programming and repairs, obviously you have to do that, and then warranty tracking. Now warranty tracking is really important. And to me, if you've got a pair of hearing aids and you've spent $3 or $4 or $5 or $6 or $7 or $8,000 for these pieces of gold up here, wouldn't you want warranty on them?
Yeah.
Loss and damage, right? And repair warranty. So I track all of these serial numbers, every one of them. And then I have my assistant, Kathy, mail out postcards about a month prior to your warranty coming due. Now these expensive hearing aids, the ones like the Livios, the real expensive models, the premium models, they have 3 years of warranty on them. That's worth almost $1,200, and that comes right from Starkey. After that runs out, you pay $385 a year to get that warranty, and that warranty covers everything. If you lose one or you step on it, a guy north of our store ran over one with his Tesla. They bring them in, in a baggie. This is no joke, a baggie. Oh, my cat got a hold of that one. It's all full of little pinprick holes, They go to the lab says, hey, this is loss and damage. They send it back to me, the patient pays $350, they get a brand new hearing aid. So it's like a processing fee that they charge for a complete loss. Repairs are free. Starkey even pays the $40 round trip to have that hearing aid flown up to the lab so they get it the next day. That's all taken care of with the warranty. All right. Let's see, what else do I have here? American owned and operated. I think that's an important thing. Starkey, privately owned. 1 in 4 hearing aids sold is a Starkey. And I tell you this, that they have the best customer service of any company that we have ever dealt with at Tobin's. and we deal with a lot of companies, as you can imagine, with all the products that we carry. Their customer service is absolutely fantastic. They have an all-make repair center. They've got parts from hearing aids from back in the 60s. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I can't say enough about their customer service. They have a $100 million commitment to research and development, and obviously top-performing hearing aids. So in your packet, there's a form you can pull out if you want to, and on this form, you could, if you're interested in coming in for an appointment, or you have a loved one or a friend that you think should get in and have their hearing tested, you can fill that form out and hand it in to me, and we will have, we'll contact you or contact whoever and schedule an appointment. Now next week I'm flying a audiologist in from Daytona Beach, Florida, who is a nationally known hearing aid expert who works for Starkey, and she will be helping me next week. We're going to have 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, where all we're going to be doing is testing and demoing these products. So one of our offices will be used for testing, that'll be me, and then the other office, Joanne, Dr. Sellers will be working in that office demonstrating. So your appointment will be a half an hour for testing and another half an hour for the demo. So if that's something you're interested in, you can put a check mark in the box, and we'll contact you and we'll get you scheduled for an appointment. And if you can't make it, you'll get set up with an appointment some other time. There's also brochures in there, in that packet for the Livio. There's a brochure for the Muse, which is also another super technology. I didn't put one in for the Halo, Glenn, because the Halo is like the Livio as far as the connectivity to the smartphone. Whereas the Muse product, that is used with a remote control if you want that. Same computer though as the Halo.
So being connected to computer, is there potential virus? Any virus protection?
Nothing that I've ever heard of. I've never heard of anything like that happen.
It's connecting with your phone and all that, which is on the internet.
Yep, yeah. Haven't heard of a problem with that. I don't know if there is a problem. In fact, that's a really good question. I've never actually asked that question to the tech support at Starkey. It's a good question.
Protection or whatever.
Yeah.
One thing when I was at one of the hearing aid seminars, they did mention something about there being a firewall attached.
Okay, so it must
I
have,
imagine there'd be some
theoretically,
kind of
there would be something.
Right. But it's probably not something that's really interesting to the type of person who wants to do that. It's like, there's not much you can do except stop a person from hearing it. Unless it's the President of the United States or flying an airplane or something, it would be important. But I know there's, like even with our business, we have so many firewalls because we're a pharmacy that it's not even funny. So.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned there that the VA is going to do a study.
They're doing, in the midst of it.
What is the policy in terms of the VA and reimbursement of purchasing of hearing aids?
That I don't know.
You don't know.
I know that the VA will provide veterans with hearing aids. Now, I don't know whether they would provide a Livio AI to a vet because they're so expensive. That's a good question. And again, you'd have to call them and find out. Specify what you want and see what they say. Never hurts to ask.
But there are all levels of Starkey hearing aids. They're still perfectly good hearing aids without all that.
What charges the battery in this thing, or is it?
Well, this one now, the Livio that I have takes a 312 battery right here. Now you can imagine you've got a full-blown computer using a 1.5 volt battery that's going to go about 5 days. So you've got a very efficient computer. Laptop with these big batteries, which this one is pretty thin, but they've made computers much more efficient now. This will get about 8 hours. But imagine a hearing aid going 16 hours a day and you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7 days out of them. And they tell me that this circuit, this computer that's in here, is more efficient than any of their previous models. So every year they're coming out with improvements on the
So
efficiency.
is that rechargeable or is that a replacement?
Replacement battery. Now the Muse product currently is a recharge. You can get it in a rechargeable. And it's really cool because the rechargeable case, which is this black box that opens up like a clamshell, has 2 reservoirs in it with magnets in the reservoirs. So you get the hearing aid, you take it out, and you get it close to one of those reservoirs, and it sucks the hearing aid right in there and makes contact with the charging ports. A 3.5 hour charge will get you 30 hours of use on your hearing aids before the hearing aid has to be recharged. And the other cool thing with Starkey's system, which blows everyone else away again, that case has a battery, and you can get 3 charges of your hearing aids out of that case without ever plugging it into a power supply. So if you're out camping and you don't have any place to plug your case in, you've got a lot of hours there, 90 hours of use. So that's another really cool thing. When they came out with their rechargeable system, it was top notch. That was last February when they came out with that, February.
So with these systems, do you require 2?
2 hearing aids?
For a person to wear 2 of them?
If you have, well, here's the thinking on that. Another good question, by the way. So let's say you have a person that has a hearing loss in both ears, and you go the cheap route and only fit them with 1 hearing aid, right? The other ear, and this is again now, you got to remember that the temporal lobe is doing the processing. So the temporal lobe that isn't receiving the signal from the ear, from the inner ear, the cochlea, it gets lazy. And pretty soon you end up with auditory deprivation in the side you didn't aid, because the brain is focusing on the side that has that hearing aid because it's getting data. It's receiving impulses.
You have one side that was damaged.
So now, let's say you have a person who has an ear that is non-functional. You don't get any word to scrim from it, maybe 40%, 30% word to scrim scores. The other ear is aidable, okay, meaning I've got good word discrimination when I play the words to you through the audiometer. You're picking most of them up. Here's what you do. You take this, and I'm not saying the Livio, but you know, one of the hearing aids, like the Muse is an example. In this, rather than having the computer for the hearing aid, you have a microphone and a radio in here. This goes on the dead ear, okay? Just like I'm doing right now. It's going to look just like this. This side, microphone, radio. It transmits the audio signal, in other words, it digitizes it and then transmits it via a 900 megahertz radio wave into the hearing aid that's meant for the good ear. This hearing aid now receives the signal from that side, the dead side. So now if someone's whispering to you or you're in a meeting and somebody over here isn't speaking loudly, you're going to hear them. And that's called a cross or bicross system, depending on what you need. Bicross stands for bilateral contralateral routing of signal. And that is what I would use. And I'm telling you, it works like a charm. In May, I had 4 patients, and this is highly unusual, 4 patients last May that came in with that problem. I fit every one of them with the bicross system. They all love it, every one of them. Hands down, absolutely super system.
What about good hearing in one ear,
Yeah.
no problems, weak in the other?
Hearing aids.
In both?
Put it in, if you're normal,
Yeah, right.
if you have normal hearing, now if it's mild, I put a hearing aid in that ear. If it's normal, then I just use 1. Yep. Don't need them in 2, unless you want your phone calls in both ears. You know, there are actually reasons now, and when I see
My
with
phone
this,
won't accept the phone. I mean, the hearing
Yeah.
aid, mine's an Android.
Okay.
Mine too.
But there are actually, you know, if you start looking at this technology, I'm starting to think, you know, a person with normal hearing would probably love wearing these things because of all of these things that the hearing aids are doing. But good question, thank you, appreciate that. Yes?
One more question, which is probably common for every man in this room, but can you explain or talk how the hearing aid corrects for where most men can hear any man talking, you don't even have to look at him, and you can hear clearly what a man is saying, but you can hardly hear a woman talking because women's tones are so low. You can be looking right at them, and you can't make out the words.
Yeah.
You hear them saying something, but you can't make it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So how does the hearing aids?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Now let's, again, great question, and let's explain this, okay? Let's look at it. Number one, and this is coming from Dr. Berlin from the Kresge Hearing Institute, which was blown away by a hurricane. It was down in Louisiana, the last big hurricane. I can't think of the name of it. Katrina, there we go. Blown away. Kresge Hearing Institute, nationally recognized. Dr. Berlin, at one of his seminars that I attended, he said, you know, most people will say, well, a woman's voice is higher pitched, and that's why you can't hear it as well. He said, you know what the real reason is? Their vocal cords, which are muscles, aren't as strong as a man's. That's, if you look at it on the average now. Obviously, you have some women, like Whitney Houston, who can belt out a song to the point where you feel like your glass is gonna, you know, blow up. But on the average, the voice of a woman is not, in other words, the sound wave coming out is not as intense, meaning as high or peaky as a man's. So that's the main reason you can't hear them as well. And if they drop off at the end of a sentence, where they'll start talking louder and then drop off at the end of a sentence, get softer, that also poses an issue with hearing, okay? The hearing aid, and the way these work, is the computer is listening for all of the frequencies within speech. The T, the S, the T, the T, the B, the O, the Ah, the N, like me, okay? Most guys will say me instead of knee. They can't get it. You start looking at all that stuff, and that computer is checking every single pitch or frequency of those sounds within those words and comparing the level, the decibel level of those sounds and looking at your hearing loss at the same time and saying, oh, wait a minute, there's a sound coming through here at a frequency of 4,000 cycles per second. He has a 70% or 70 decibel loss at that frequency. I've got to add a whole lot of gain to that to get him to hear. But let's say the O comes in, and the O is lower pitched, and you don't need hearing amplification in that pitch. Your test shows that you don't need it there. No amplification, not necessary. Hearing aids computer knows that. Knows it shouldn't amplify that sound. You have hearing aids now that have 24 frequency channels. They all look like a high-end equalizer. With all these slide bars, that's what I look at when I'm programming. Every one of those is individually controlled, and the computer knows what to do with them when it hears a soft sound. Jacks it up so you're able to hear it. So it gets that sound wave over the top of your, what is called threshold of hearing. Okay? Yes?
I think these changes are miraculous. However, I have 4 practical questions.
Okay.
Just briefly, you said you take your hearing, wear them from the morning till night, take the hearing aid. Is that to rest the hearing aid, or does the ear need to rest, or the brain, or why wouldn't you wear them overnight?
Well, okay, that's a good question. Now, you don't necessarily have to take them out.
Okay.
That's not a necessity. Typically, and here's another, I think the question is perfect because it brings up a point. There was a group, in Florida, they had a big storm come through, tornado. This is a trailer park. Most of the people in that trailer park had hearing loss and they didn't have their hearing aids in. It just wiped them out. They didn't have a clue. It happened at night. So if you know a storm is coming, I'd leave those hearing aids in if you've got a heck of a loss. But typically, if you're sleeping, you don't want to burn the power out of the hearing aid because you're not really using it for conversation.
Okay.
Good question.
Then the other, when we're talking about $8,000, is that per year?
No, that's a pair.
A pair,
Yeah.
okay. And then for people that just can't afford this, sometimes people get a recondition or a hearing aid from somebody that costs $6,000 and they have it reconfigured for them.
Correct.
It won't be as good as this. But
Correct.
How, is that okay?
It certainly is. Another good reason, another good feature of this. Now, if I had the lab make a custom ear mold for this, obviously you'd have to have, ear molds made, or we'd have to use earbuds. This is a medical grade silicone earbud. But all I do the hearing test, I hook up those older hearing aids to the laptop, I program them for that hearing loss, and away they go. And I just did that a couple of weeks ago, in fact. Yep. Yes, sir.
You deal with Otacon?
No, I only deal with Starkey.
Oh, okay.
And I've been using them since 1979. Yes, sir.
Will insurance pick up any costs?
Depends on your insurance company. You have to call them.
Okay.
You have to call them, definitely. But I rarely have insurance companies that like paying their bills. I can tell you that right now. I've had to fight with them.
Yeah.
So I get ticked off very easily with that stuff because obviously pharmacy, we've put up with that for the last 30 years and it's literally destroyed pharmacy. I mean, that's how bad
Starkey
it is.
they do have a program for payment and that type of thing that you can write into it.
Is there any movement on Medicare? I mean, Medicare doesn't pay for anything an older person really needs except medicine.
Well, Title 19 now will, because I had a patient come in and she told me that she had just gotten a pair of hearing aids through Title 19. So they will do it, but Medicare does not.
No, glasses either.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What the price is $8,000 for two of these?
Right, the hearing aid that I was showing, this AI, which is their premium, that device on sale is $7,995, so $8,000. Yeah.
For two.
For two.
That's what I paid for mine.
Now, I have had patients, in fact, I had a patient drive down to Oconomowoc from Fond du Lac, and he asked me, well, what do you charge for the Halo i2400, which is what Len has here. And I said, well, what did you get quoted up in Fond du Lac? He said $8,400 for a pair of them. Well, I mean, he ended up getting his hearing aids from me. Now, I don't typically recommend that because I like patients to be able to come back and see me quite often. But now with the Livio product line, and they make not only the AI, but they make 3 other models of that, which are less expensive.